Hey, Steve Gamache here with another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review, and this time we have the Yahiko VG10 Gyuto 2 40mm knife, so one of the shorter knife titles I usually put on these sheets. So this knife is a clad knife. It's 3 layers, and it's got a core cutting edge steel. You can kind of see a cladding line right there of VG10 full stainless steel heat treat, about 60 Rockwell, very popular kitchen knife steel and lots of different lines of knives. So it's a proven steel that works well, sharpens up nicely, and is somewhat forgiving, especially at this heat treat rating. The cladding is a just kind of plain soft stainless cladding with vertical finish marks on it. And you can see they've got a acid etched kanji on the right side of the blade. Here's your finish marks going vertical. And you know, nothing fancy about this knife, but it's well finished. Here's the left side of the blade. There's your cladding line, there's your core steel, there's your cutting edge bevel. As long as we're at it, let's just get our beauty shot done here. This one's definitely not as shiny as the Damascus ones. Have a fair amount of polish to them, so they're a real drag to try to show in these excuse me, these lights that we've got here. So the weight and dimensions are going to be pretty consistent on these, but this particular one's 187 grams or 6.6 ounces with this Wenge handle. The edge length's about 238 or 9.4 millimeters on the cutting edge, and the overall length's about 15.1 inches. Spine thickness, I got about 2.5 at the back. These are fairly stiff blades, and I got about 2.2, about halfway down, millimeters at the spine, and not a lot of taper here or thinning of the spine, but as you get down towards the tip, it does thin out a bit. It's not a wafer thin tip, but it does pretty well performance wise. And then here is the edge, and reasonably thin at the edge, not wafer thin, but these do pretty well, just kind of a good balanced performer. These might make really good knives in a pro environment, pro kitchen. They're kind of no nonsense knives that don't scream high dollar too much, so they got the nice wah Japanese handle on them. Blade height's about 50 millimeters, so you've got a fairly wide neck here, and the handle kind of matches that. So not a ton of clearance there to a cutting board, but as long as your fingers aren't too big and you got a kind of a good grip there with placing your fingers flat, you should be fine. The handles are octagonal, although you can see they're a little thinner widthwise and a little taller. They're not very symmetrical like some are, but this is Wenge, very pretty wood. Lots of figuring, everyone's going to be unique. And then buffalo horn, ferro black buffalo horn, which is really cool looking. They got some grain to it. They did a nice job gluing up where the blade goes into the tang, or tang goes into the knife handle here. So nice tight glue job there. So again, handles are a little bit unique on the kind of the thinness, left to right versus top to bottom, but they feel good in the hand. Let's see, balance point. And I forgot to do that on the other 2 knives, doggone it. So the balance point, so if you're looking at the 240 Damascus, here you go, it's going to be about the same with the Wenge handle. So this is your balance point right about there, which on a pinch grip is pretty close to my pinch grip, not too far off. And you can see it's pretty neutral, kind of a nimble knife, even though it's got 6.6 ounces on it. The Wenge handle actually being a little bit heavier helps kind of pull that back towards where your pinch grip is. Fit and finish, as I mentioned, is pretty nice. I've got a little bit of rounding on the spine and the choil, just a little bit to take the edge off. And the same thing here at the choil and the neck here and the little spine area. So 5, maybe a 6 out of 10. My out-of-box edge, they'll get a little bit sharper if you do your part on them. Blades are fairly stiff, especially in the back half. They've got a pretty confident feel on the cutting board. Let's look at the edge profile on this. These are fairly curvy, and as you can see, definitely is. So this one, it's got a little bit of a flat area towards the back. These can vary a little bit from knife to knife. Like the Damascus 240 version of this had a little more belly, so this has a little more flat back here. This is the general characteristics. Every blade's going to be slightly different. But this particular one's got a little bit more of a chopper area towards the back. It kind of flows into that heel. And then you got some belly towards the tip, and this thing will get pretty high on a rock. So this will rock like crazy, no problem. It'll rock great. Push-pull cuts, glide cuts. Tip draws, you're going to have to pull that handle up a little bit higher, so probably not the world's greatest on tip draws, but it'll do a lot of other stuff well. Got a little bit of back area towards chopping here, although yours might have a little more belly to it, just depends on the knife. So pretty good general purpose profile. As I mentioned, these would be great in a home environment or in a pro environment as well for maybe a prep knife or something. Again, that's not high dollar and super flashy. So this is the Yahiko VG10 Gyuto 2 40mm knife from Chef Knives to Go.